Well, in a massive blow to South Africa's vaccination rollout, 2 million Johnson & Johnson vaccines stored at the Aspen plant in Gqeberha may have to be entirely destroyed. The Food and Drug Administration says the batches were contaminated in the US and only one batch was contaminated, but because they were stored together, both will not be fit for use. So how far does this set the rollout back? Are there contingency plans? Let's find out more from Professor Helen Rees. She's a member of the Vaccine Committee advising the Health Ministry on COVID-19, as well as the board chairperson of SAPRA. She joins us now live. Thank you so much for your time, as always, Prof. Prof, what's your take on this terrible news?
Well, it is a blow. I think we always realized when you're rushing to produce vaccines that there are going to be hiccups along the way, and we always knew that. But we do seem to have had more than our fair share here in South Africa. So this really was a problem with the manufacturing plant in Baltimore. What was detected was that one batch of vaccines was contaminated. And then the Food and Drug Administration, who have oversight of that plant, regulatory oversight, then looked at other batches manufactured on either side. And they established that the quality of the manufacturing that had gone on at that plant just wasn't up to standard. And so they are being very cautious and saying that these batches should not be used. And we are supporting that. We don't think we can use batches where we can't assure the quality of manufacturing.
Prof. Rees, could there be a plan B where J&J ships us a new batch of vaccines as soon as possible?
Indeed, there is a plan B, and I mean, we're obviously looking for plan C and D as well. But what we have got now are 300,000 vaccines that have been thawed. They're refrigerated, so they have to be used rapidly. The good news is that we thought that they would have to be used by the end of June. But again, the FDA has now looked at the stability data of those vaccines and says, in fact, we can use them for an extra 1.5 months. So that does give us, if we can get these vaccines shipped this week urgently, that'll give us another 300,000. The Pfizer doses are still coming in, but not in the sort of quantities that we would like to see. And obviously J&J and Aspen, they are both looking for other sources of the J&J vaccine, because we really were building our rollout, our early stages of this rollout, on having the two vaccines.
And I suppose the bonus really with the J&J is that it was one vaccination as opposed to the Pfizer, which is two. How will this impact our vaccination rollout?
Well, I think it will, in the sense that we are now getting many more rollout sites around the country are up and ready to go. And we need the vaccines to now go into them. So it will slow us up, undoubtedly. And that's why we're really looking for other sources. The Department of Health is talking to Pfizer and trying to get additional sources of Pfizer. And J&J, as I say, are also looking for additional sources that they can ship to us. And of course, we're also looking at other vaccines. SAPRA is looking at 2 other vaccines to see whether they are suitable from a regulatory point of view for approval. And that would then broaden the number of vaccines that we have.
That was actually going to be my next question. Should we be looking at Chinese and Russian vaccines and the possibility of them being able to be brought in as soon as possible?
Well, we are doing that. So the Sputnik vaccine, the Russian vaccine, we have what's called a rolling review. So they've been giving us information as they get it into SAPRA, and that's been on a continuous review process. But we haven't got all of the data there yet. Then the Sinovac, the Chinese vaccine, we've got the same dossier submitted now to SAPRA as has been looked at by the World Health Organization. And the World Health Organization has given what's called an emergency use listing for the Sinovac, and we're now discussing with the WHO some of that data. One of the big challenges we have is that for many of these vaccines that are in the advanced stages of development, we don't have good clinical data or even laboratory data about how they're going to perform in the context of our variant. So we're talking to all of the manufacturers about this to see if we can at least get laboratory data. But that is going to be a challenge. And what we might need to do, and this is what is also under discussion, is have a very rigorous, what we call a protocol, a sort of a recipe for saying, when we roll out a vaccine, we're going to monitor very carefully how effective that vaccine is in the context of South Africa and our circulating variants.
Professor Helen Rees, thank you for always being very frank and very clear about the situation on the ground when it comes to the vaccine. You're on the vaccine committee advising the Health Ministry on COVID-19 and the board chairperson of SAPRA, among other hats. So thank you so much again.